Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Well, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets, where we decode the art and science of building a thriving coaching business. Let's see what's in store today with none other than the man, the myth, the king of the Caribbean, the man on top of the hill, Big Shoots, number 22 in your program, Karl Bryan.
Number one in your hearts. You forgot that.
There it is, folks. Speaking of hearts, I hear you did a solo heartfelt podcast last week, brother. How'd it go?
I had told you, man, I wanted to do that one. I don't know. I didn't quite, to be honest with you, man, I didn't quite land it the way I wanted to, but as you know, a very close buddy of mine, he's got, he's been in a battle for a while. So anyways, but it went all right, bud. It went all right. We'll have to ask the others, but it went okay.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I'm sort of, going to be launching my own financial sort of based podcast. And I'm like, you know what? It just flows better with two when you can bounce things back and forth. And one of you is much better looking than the other. And, it's just one's much taller, wiser, more well, not wiser, you're definitely more wiser, but anywho, it works a lot better when you can bounce things back and forth. That's for dang sure. So there's go.
No doubt, Shoots. There's no doubt. Those compliments, are you giving me compliments, Shoots?
Well, no, myself. I'm looking in a mirror right now. It's very good. It's very good.
There you go. Well, it's like he's back, ladies and gentlemen. The road down.
Oh God! Speaking of who's back, oh man, free agent frenzy, NHL style. Oh my God. I don't even want to go, if not to timestamp the podcast, but it's pretty sad when the Canucks are celebrating just literally re-signing half of their own players. It's a bad, sad state of affairs. But there you go. Speaking of Mitch Marner, your boy, no longer your boy. Do you want to have a little moment of silence for him, or are you good?
I'd think about it. If I didn't think it'd be so boring for everybody, I would absolutely do it. But Mitch Marner is now a Golden Knight. He's gone to the dark side. He's gone to the Vegas Golden Knights. So wish him luck.
So I think there's something to be learned there as well, Shoots. Do you think sometimes, because we talk about, being the local legend, we talk about being the local almost mini celebrity in your town. Do you think that it's tough for some folks, like a guy like Mitch Marner? Again, when you're in a Canadian market in hockey, that spotlight on you is tough. Do you find that it's also difficult for some coaches to just have that weight on their shoulders to being that?
And an expert is somebody who rolls up from out of town, right? So if you go see a comedian and he's the highlighter, it's never the guy from the local suburb, right? It's the comedian from Australia. It's the comedian from Vegas. It's the comedian from Arizona, from Phoenix, from Seattle. And that's when you're not in the city. So there's no doubt a little bit of that. He's a hometown boy. There's a lot of pressure on him. And I think that's a big reason why he said, you know what? And notwithstanding, I think that there's a lot of growth there. It's like if you go to college and you go to college in the same city that you live in, I got to tell you, it's nowhere near the experience than if you go to college in a college town away, and you got to meet new friends, and you got to push yourself, and you got to go to, you know what I mean? You got to go to a bar where you don't know anybody. You got to go into a classroom where you don't know anybody. So it's a real, it's a growth experience. So quite frankly, I think it's going to be good for him. And I think for business coaches, there is no doubt. I can tell you that being new is like a superpower, like new sex and chocolate. If you're advertising something, those three words stand out. So if you get out of your own town, you can have a lot more power. Like when I built my business coaching company, I came from Australia, right? And I was brand new to the city. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any contacts. And most coaches will tell us and they will instinctively think that's a real disadvantage. Well, it can be an advantage, because you're new. And if you play it right and you use it to your favor, as opposed to mentally assume that it's a negative, it can work in your favor wildly. Being new is very, very powerful.
And
So
folks, just so you know, as Karl just said, news, sex, and chocolate, that's also going to be the topic of the after hours part of the podcast coming up later in the show. Anywho, on a serious note, there is no after hours, but if there was, I'm sure that would be the topic for KB all day long. Hey, let's get this back on the rails because that could go incredibly sideways right there. And let's talk about money. You thought I was going to say something else there. I did not. Can you give me your best answer to the rules of money? But the caveat, this is the rules of money that business coaches should learn.
Ooh, rules of money business coaches should understand. You said basically. Okay, I think look, that's a good question. I'll tell you why. We've said it on the podcast before, but what's the first principle? Like Elon Musk has made first principles very famous, a mental model. What's the first principle of any sport? Hockey, football, baseball, basketball, cricket, tennis, golf. It's the rule book, right? So if you don't understand the rules, you're not going to be very good at the game. It's that simple. Maybe that's me in poker. I really suck at poker, and I struggle at the rules. Again, a straight versus a flush versus whatever. Two pairs. I couldn't tell you what ranks over top of what. Therefore, I'm going to get my butt kicked. So, I'm not sure that rules of money 100% exist. If you were to put me on the spot, which you have, what would I say? Look, first rule of money is money is a game of doubles. You double a penny every day for 30 days. What happens? You end up with $5 million. But you probably heard that example before, but I can tell you the chiropractor, the dentist, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, they have not. And they go, what? Like if you ask them, they're going to say 1,000, 5,000, 25,000. They might say as high as 100,000. Nobody who hasn't heard that example before is going to 5 million unless they're a mathematician, right? Well, that's the magic of compounding, right? So money is a game of doubles. You spend $100 on a Facebook ad campaign, you got to have a path to 200. You invest $1,000 in the stock market, in real estate, in domain names, in wherever you're going to invest it, in sports memorabilia. Make sure you've got a path to take, what do I say, 1,000, turn it into 2,000, right? And by the way, what is that going to do? That is going to take time. That is going to take effort. It's going to take probably some skills, some knowledge, definitely some patience. I feel like I got to say this, but not just patience is great, but that might give you a license to say, oh, what will be, what will be. Now, be aggressively patient is maybe what I'm trying to say. But at the end of the day, money is a rule of doubles. Take a penny, turn it into two, take 1,000, turn it into 2,000. And I think you're on your way. Have a path to do it. Will you be always right? No. But if you always feel like you've got a path to lead it to $2,000 to double it, I think you'd be well served. That would lead me to patience, delayed gratification. In the game of money with your clients, with yourself, there's no cutting in line, right? You got to plant in the spring, harvest in the summer, and I'm sorry, you're just not getting away from it. So what do most people do? They go in, not most people, but a good percentage apparently. They'll go buy lottery tickets. What is that? That is an effort to try cut in line. And by the way, the government, I should say, they sell lottery tickets to poor people to give them hope. And if ever there was a scam, I'd say that's as close as you're ever going to get a scam. And I'll let you decide whether or not that's a good use of your government's time, money, and effort. I'll leave that one there. But at the end of the day, delayed gratification. You go to the cafeteria, you just got to wait your turn. You got to be, what is Warren Buffett will say, hurry up and wait, right? It's a great way to make money. What would I look? Patience, compounding would have to be mentioned. You got to understand compounding, which I kind of just said that, I guess, but you double a penny every day for 30 days. And that becomes $5 million. By the way, if you go to day 31, guess what? You're over 10 million. But the first principle of compounding, if reverse engineer compounding, it will take you to marginal utility theory, which just think small incremental improvements in multiple areas simultaneously give you a compounding effect. Because I don't know about you, I don't know about your clients, but I would dare say that they don't have 10 years, right? So marginal utility theory, small incremental changes in multiple areas simultaneously allow you to get the compounding financial result without the use of time. And by the way, what did I just described? Profit acceleration. What did I build? Profit acceleration software. What's the foundation of profit acceleration software? Guess what? Compounding marginal utility theory, small incremental changes in multiple areas of their business simultaneously, give them a compounding impact, compounding financial result, but they don't have to wait 10 years. They could literally do it in 30, 60, 90 days. You could do it with them. All right. Simplicity scales, complexity fails. Super simple. But again, buy, patience and compounding, buy Bitcoin. What do you got to do? Hurry up and wait. Buy domain names, which we've talked about at different times. May or may not have bought a really cool domain name recently. Not going to give the news here, but anyways, it's a one-word domain name. What am I going to have to do? What am I going to do? The answer is nothing right now. Why? Because I've got other stuff to do. But what am I going to do? Hurry up and wait. And I would dare say in 5-10 years, I'm going to be looking real good at that investment. And by the way, I could be wrong, right? But buy real estate, hurry up and wait. Remember, old money equals never sell. If you introduce me to a family with old money, I'll introduce you to a great-grandfather, a great-grandmother that had the guts and wherewithal to not sell despite the temptation, etc. But I've got a good buddy of mine. He actually passed away not too long ago. Johnny T, may he rest in peace, 52 years old, significantly too young. But he always said, if you buy a lottery ticket, you're already a loser. I've always thought about that. Actually, by the way, but I've got a neighbor in Kelowna, my house in Kelowna. Like, I got a neighbor who won 40 million bucks, by the way, tax free. And then I know another guy that actually drank some beer with him over the years. And anyways, he won 25 schmil. So I don't know, maybe it's not a bad plan. I don't know. I'm not going to, it's not what I'm going to be doing. I hope it's not what you're going to be doing. I hope it's not what you're directing your clients to do. But the money impatience will be a punch in the jaw for you and your money and ultimately your wealth. Okay, so next shoots, I gotta look. There's 3 skills to master. We're talking to business coaches. We're talking about business here, right? Okay, product, sales, marketing. This is Naval Ravikant 101. Legend of a guy, by the way. But he says something to the effect, I'm going to make a meal of this, but you're stuck in sales because you suck at marketing. You're stuck in sales because you suck at marketing. And you're stuck in marketing because you suck at product, right? So like translation, iPhone sells itself. Facebook sells itself. YouTube sells itself. Amazon sells itself. The everything store, right? The goal for you is to become the best business coach you can possibly be. And guess what's going to happen? It's going to get a little bit easier, a little bit easier, a little bit easier for you to get clients. Word is going to get out. Word of mouth is going to flow. Referrals are going to start to come your way. The joint ventures are going to come and you're going to be in good shape. So like, get amazing at product. And you also, you almost don't need to do the other 2. Why? Because they're kind of done for you. Well, okay, not really. Because what Steve Jobs would say if he was here with us, well, he also rest in peace. But sales and marketing should be built into the product, right? So think about when you buy an iPhone or you buy the iPad. It's beautiful. Like opening it is like an event, right? So sales is 1-to-1, marketing is 1-to-many, and then the product is your deliverable. It's ultimately what solves the person who pays you, the client's problem. Right? If you do that properly, again, sales and marketing kind of done for you. But let me tell you, okay, here's what Naval would also say. I don't know that he has, but he would definitely agree with this. Like, you can't sell and market your way out of a bad product, right? So they say the crazy ones make all the money. Crazy people create really great things. Smart people also create really great things. So yeah, Shoots, that's what I'd say, Shoots. So those, I don't know how many rules I just gave you. That was probably 4. maybe 5, but that's what I'm going to say. Shoots. That's my answer.
Well, the one thing I'm going to say is when you talk about poker and not knowing the rules, the first rule of poker is don't go all in every time at the first hand. That is not a good strategy, Shades.
Buddy, if you have a poker tournament, let me tell you what you want to do. You don't want to invite me. You want to send a limo to my house because there is not a hand that I do not like and that I don't want to play. And I'm willing to light a little bit of money on fire to have a good time because I like to see that last card, man. What do they call it? The river? I
The
like to
river.
go.
All right, my
That's my
friend.
answer, Shoots.
Now that we've given some great advice, can you give us real quick, perhaps your Zen thought of the week?
Then Shoots. Okay, I may or may not have this line waiting, but somebody literally sent it in a private message where I put it up on I don't know if I put it on, he messaged me on Facebook, but I think I put it up on Facebook, or it might have come straight from an email, or they might have, you know, tagged my personal profile or whatever. Anyways, if your inner child is alive and well, you've won, right? Think about that, folks. Life is a game. You're not getting out alive. I'm not getting out alive. Road Dog's not getting out alive. So stop taking it so bloody seriously and have a good time. Life is a game. So, I go like there's a Tony Robbins 101, but like your reasons come first and your answers come second, right? The question is, are you looking for reasons? Or are you looking for answers? And you got to look at reasons. You got to go to why as opposed to, trying to solve everything, trying to get it perfect, overthinking, procrastination. It's just, it's hell on earth, quite frankly, for you. Or you know what? I can't say that, but I would dare say that that's what I've heard from others. I've experienced personally, but be careful with that. Like you're not right because 500 people agree with you, and you're not wrong because 500 people disagree with you. You're right when your facts are accurate and your logic is correct, right? Like think about that again. You're not right because 500 people are, on board, and then you're not wrong because 500 press against you. It goes to mental models. Again, talked on the podcast at different times how mental models change my life in a real and meaningful way. I think just taking a step back before taking multiple forward, I don't know, hurry up and wait comes in, but you know what I mean? Just thinking at a higher level prior to action. If your logic is correct and your facts are on point, I think you're going to be in good shape because, magic happens for you when a big thinker and a person who gets things done come together. Right. Like again, higher level thought. That's not, there would be a mental model in there somewhere, but like, maybe the end in mind. But like magic happens when those two people come together. Bring those two people together. What do most people do as a business coach? You're trying to do it all on your own. That's probably not going to be the path to say if you can sell, you can't coach. If you can coach, you can't sell. Introduce me to a business coach with a lack of clients, and I'll introduce you to a business coach with a lack of confidence. Right. Like again, higher level thinking is the ultimate business hack. Because if you want to have a great company, what do you need? What do you got to have? And that's great clients, great company, great clients, not the other way around. Right. So you want to take profitable people or profitable businesses and then successful people, and you want to make them more profitable and more successful versus going to the local networking function and talking to broke people who will actually say yes to you, right? That's the opposite of somebody who's broke. The best predictor of the future is what? The past, right? If they're flat broke, there's a good chance that you're going to say jump, and they're not going to say how high, they're going to say why, right? That's a great client is somebody who's highly coachable. Somebody who's wildly successful, don't need to meet them to know that they are highly coachable. Okay. That's an example of a great client. So thinking along those lines, because like the hardest thing for your business coaching company, or frankly, the hardest thing in business, period, the hardest thing is not like the hardest thing about owning a business, let's say, it's not getting started. It's keeping going. It's being persistent. It's the wherewithal to keep going when nothing feels like it's working. So again, like owning a business, it's not about getting started, right? It is about the speed bump. It is about the hill. It is the mountain. And then what happens when you finally get to the top of the damn mountain? You see that there's another peak that you couldn't see, right? That's business 101. It's a freaking roller coaster, up and down, up and down. It is for you. It is for Road Dogg. It is for me. And it's going to be for your client. Guide them through that. Remember, like the best mentor is somebody who can recognize a ball rolling in the street. What do I mean by that? When you see a soccer ball rolling in the street, what's coming not far behind? A young child to get it. What do you got to do? You got to slow the hell down. Again, higher level, it's step backwards to take multiple forwards, right? Because like no one ever says this, but like courage actually feels like fear, right? And what is anybody, a Naval Ravikant, a Warren Buffett, a Ray Dalio, a Jeff Bezos, I would say, what are they going to say? Look, Karl, you got to be courageous. What's an example of being courageous? Creating massive, unbelievably, lofty goals as opposed to one that's realistic, like shoot for the stars. You come up short, you're looking pretty good. Like go head first towards your fears. And shoots, I'm going to throw it back to you, but like, I would just say I'm speaking to the business coaches. And again, as per usual, I don't think I'm doing a very job of being very zen. Maybe I'm talking a little big, gotta, go kick ass, take names. But playing small is incredibly unzen-like, in my opinion, right? You got to play big. You're not, the anxiety is not from overwhelm. The anxiety comes from knowing that you're capable of achieving and doing so much more. That's where anxiety comes from. So shoots that, I don't know. There's my Zen thought of the day, but I want to finish it with the, inner child. You keep that bad boy going and you keep that bad boy alive and well, and you have won. I don't care what your bank balance looks like. That's a good tester, shoots. That's what I wanted to say.
I just want, when you said about broke people and all that stuff, Dan Martell actually had a really good quote. He said, the problem with broke people is they know everything. They have all the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? That's 100%.
It's crazy. How many times I'm like, oh shit, maybe I should have maybe just paid attention and maybe kept my mouth shut and maybe should have done that instead of just thinking I knew it all. But anyways.
No, it's like my buddy Doggy, like he's a big deal at NVIDIA. He's been there for a long time. His kids play with Jensen Huang's kids. And he says, like, look, he'll also tell you that the guy is he's a machine. And, you've heard stories of Steve Jobs. Well, he reflects that in the boardroom in a very real and meaningful way. But that said, he says I don't want to quote him here, but it's like Jensen is the owner of NVIDIA, and again, if you know anything about NVIDIA, I mean, my gosh, right? He's an incredibly curious individual. So what you're saying, he's the exact opposite of know-it-all. I'll tell you that now and here.
So with your courage thing, like what about all the things that you reference as concepts that you stand against? I feel like those are relevant here when you're using the word courage.
Courage. Okay, stand against the odd. Okay, I can tell you that you'll get a lot more. Like, let's assume you want to get attention on social media, you want to get on stage, and you want to become attractive, quote unquote. Like somebody who's attractive has people who are attracted to them. So, like when you've got a call on Tuesday at 2:00 for like a consultation, or like you're going to try sell them into your coaching, when they're texting you and saying, are you definitely good for 2:00? You've really killed that attractive button. So standing against we will make you more attractive. It will certainly get you more attention than then standing for. Okay. What would I say? Look, 4-Hour Workweek. Tim Ferriss, he wrote, if you read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, it's really a book about 80-20 and, having a killer lifestyle and getting more done in a short period of time. It's not about working 4 hours a week. And Tim Ferriss was not pretending like he only worked 4 hours a week. But people buy the book, they read the cover, they might get through half of the first chapter, maybe read the back cover, and they think that they understand the book, and they think it's about, creating a 4-hour work week, right? It's a lifestyle book, and it is 80-20 on steroids. So a 4-hour work week, if that's your goal, look, the competition is going to put in 8 and you're going to be in some trouble. The competition is going to put in 16 and you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. I don't care how smart you are. Jensen Huang. Hope I'm not messing up his name. I don't think I am. But anyway, so, the guy's certainly, this guy, he's working 16 hours a day, not 4 hours a day. So passive income, I think passive income has been bastardized to the level. It's very, very sexy. It's very, very attractive to certain people. But the reality is that, like I own some real estate and I rent out real estate. I got to tell you that passive income, when the toilet goes, when, the doorknob falls off, these types of things, when there's a challenge with the pool, what have you, suddenly the phone rings, the text, there's suddenly work to do, right? So passive income, be a little bit cautious with that. And again, if you're too attracted to passive income, you're probably too attractive to what did I say earlier, cutting in line. I don't think that's a good path for you. I don't think that's a good path for people to be directing you towards. Certainly The Secret, the book, the movie, etc. The secret is there is no bloody secret. The one thing missing from the book, from the movie, is a little word called action. Without action, without courage, quite frankly, the secret is there is no bloody secret. So stop it. You know what I mean? Stop trying to cut in line from earlier, right? Don't, the lottery tickets. Yeah, I just don't believe you're going to be the person that's going to win the $10 million. And if you do, but don't stop the action. Don't stop the hard work. Don't stop the intestinal fortitude, the discipline, the consistency of working. I think if you were to do that, I would dare say your chances of winning the lottery would be significantly better. What do I always say? Needing nothing attracts everything. A lot of the time, that might get you a little closer to the lottery win than the opposite. Maybe do what you love and make millions. You'll hear billionaires and super successful people, just do what do what you love and you'll never work a day of your life. Look, these guys made money, in the car business. They made money in oil and gas. They made money in the mines, right? That's where they made all their money. And all of a sudden they're giving everybody else advice to do what you love and make millions. Really what you got to do, what you need to do is you need to do what you're good at. If you're good at sales, if you're good at operations, if you're good at product development, if you're good at, advertising on Facebook, etc., like go to what you're good at, go to your core competency. That's what you got to do. I think that's significantly better advice. And then there's also, this is Keith Cunningham 101, but fall in love with what you do. Right? Like fall in love with the sales, fall in love with the marketing, fall in love with the product development, fall in love with the operations, fall in love with your staff, fall in love with your bonus structure, fall in love certainly with your clients. Did I say that? Like absolutely fall in love with that, right? Don't fall in love with your business. Fall in love with the actions within your business that are going to get you to the promised land, the sales, the marketing, and the product that I mentioned earlier. Doing what you love and making millions. I don't know. Show me. I don't know. Don't listen to what I'm saying. I would encourage you to reverse, go to all of the people that and then show me the people in your life that did what they loved and made millions doing it. And you're going to have a tough time finding them. You go to hockey players and football players. Yeah, okay. But we play the percentages. We don't play the anomalies, right? The percentages, how many people make the NHL? I mean, my God, what percentage of the kids that get drafted into the NHL actually play one game? And it would disappoint you wildly, right? So be careful with the anomalies there. But that said, I'm not saying you shouldn't do what you love, but I should be a little bit. I'd like to see the profit margins before we both agree that that's the plan. It's like, again, do something that's really profitable. Think about a coaching client. One of the things, like when I do a master class, I get asked, or what I answer is that, what's an ideal client? First of all, so I'll just break it down into 2 parts. One is you 5 years ago, only second best to you 10 years ago, but very few people have done the same thing for 10 years, right? Why is it you 5 years ago? Because you can recognize the balls rolling in the street. You know what's to come. You know the pitfalls. You know the speed bumps, the hills, the mountains, and where the other mountain peak is going to be facing after they get to the top of the one mountain, right? So that's an ideal client. You 5 years ago, you were a great chiropractor. You were a great dentist. You were a great butcher, baker, candlestick maker. I would reverse engineer that. You've got talents. I would go into that, and that's the coaching client I'd look for. The other thing that I would say, a second part to that, is a great coaching client is one with high profit margins. Okay, so an example that I would use is a massage therapist. Let's just assume they charge $100 a massage, and let's assume you're $2,000 a month. That means they need to do 20 massages to break even on your coaching fees. I don't need to see that relationship to know that it's probably going to end within 90 days and they're going to tell you that they're overwhelmed. The real problem is that there's just not the profit margins to support those types of coaching fees. So what's a better client? A roofer, as an example. Let's say they charge $25,000 for a roof and then there's $10,000 of profit. Okay, well, if they're $10,000 of profit and I'm $2,000 a month, 24 grand a year, we just need to get 3 roofing deals done a year, and they're in the black, right? If we get 6 deals done, they're great. If they get 16 deals done, this is amazing. If they get 36 deals done, I was the smartest decision they've made in a very long time. So I'm going to the profit margin. So I, do what you love and make millions. Well, show me the profit margins on the thing that you love. And then we're going to be able to make a better decision, right? Standing against, and by the way, what am I doing? I'm just listing off the name of books here. That's what in my head, what I'm going through, right? So like multiple streams of income has got to be said. Introduce me to somebody with multiple streams of income, and I'll introduce you to somebody with really poor streams of income in multiple areas. Okay, so that said, multiple streams of income. I don't know if I should go down this rabbit hole, but like what you got to do is you got to get one stream of income to $5 million and then talk to me about your second income stream. Okay, like again, I've said this many a time, but Zuckerberg wasn't doing Airbnb on the side while he was building Facebook, right? Bezos wasn't flipping houses while he was building Amazon, not even close. They took all their eggs, they put them in one basket and then watched that bloody basket like a freaking superstar, right? I think that's a better path to long-term wealth, right? So multiple streams of income, there's a saying, the second business eats the first. So what's the solution to that? The second business needs to feed the first. Okay, and just look at Amazon. Like Amazon, if you were to start a business and you were hell-bent on starting a business, this is the process that you and I would follow. I would say, pull out your P&L. You probably don't have one, so I would insist you get one. And then I would go through your expenses itemized, and I would look at your biggest expenses. And then the number one, I'm just going to say the number one expense, which could be staff, by the way, probably staff. But let's just assume, well, with Amazon, it was web services. So what did they do? They started Amazon Web Services. Amazon became their client. The company was already making lots of money just on the back of Amazon's account. And if you knew what we spent with Amazon Web Services per month, your eyes would water. So basically that's pretty good. How did they get there? So the second business feeds the first. Where did they get there? They became their own client. Multiple streams of income. That's an example on a process that I would probably guide you through. And by the way, though, your business is not Amazon. Let's not pretend that. And also, I am not Jeff Bezos, and I'm going to guess you're not Jeff Bezos. And remember, he's an anomaly on steroids. So is this the roadmap we should follow? I don't know. I probably not. What I would do is go to your existing business, and I was going to create multiple streams of income. I would just create multiple revenue streams within your own business. And I think that would make us significantly more money. And then I want to say this. So the the influencer folks, posting on Facebook, they got the Lamborghini, and the Lamborghini's always got the doors up, right? And they're sitting on the, the hood or the bonnet, whatever you want to call it, right? They're sitting on the front of the car and they take a photo and the doors are up. And then, which, by the way, that's fine, right? It's not what I'd be doing. And if you want to do that, that's great. It can get a lot of attention. But if you don't own the car, if you rented the car for the day or you're leasing, you know what I mean? I don't know. You're not renting, I don't know. Boats and planes. How many times you seen somebody, you know what? I'm going to leave that one there. Just, I don't, because I am not innocent in this regard. And the truth is that I'm slightly status driven. I'm getting significantly better as I get a little bit older. Not wanting something is the same as having it. Right. So I'm at a stage in my life and it did not come organically. It's something that I work towards. But if you buy stuff, you end up with stuff. at this stage of my life, I love the thought of like not needing something is the same as having it. A frugal, if you haven't read the book, Psychology of Money, in fact, I literally recommended that to one of my clients today. Psychology of Money, it is freaking lights out. And I don't know that comes from there, but Morgan Housel, who's the author, he would say something similar. At the end of the day, money, wealth, business, it's a game of psychology. The end. Money Master the Game is a great book. That's another one that I recommended to him, by the way. But Money Master the Game is a great book, and I think almost like must reading for every family in North America trying to get ahead. But I want to give you away a little secret. The book is 80% psychology, 20% wealth secrets and about money and asset allocation and taxes and it's important and stuff like that. Very good book, but understand that it is 80% psychology. So there you go. You know what, Shoots? I'm going to leave that one there. So there's lots more I could say. And all I would tell you, and all I'm doing in my head, I'm going to the name of books, and very often, the names of the books are the things that I would stand against because they're Trojan horses, right? They're just there to get like the 4-Hour Workweek. By the way, it's a fabulous book and it's a fabulous title. And the guy's made millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars off the back of that book, right? The problem is people don't read the book. And then if they read the book, they read it to read it. They don't read it to understand it. And if you really understand it, it's a book about 80-20 on steroids. Anyway, so that's what Shoots. That's what I'm going to say.
All right. I feel like we've covered a lot. Why don't you, and I don't know how you're going to do this, but if you had to close us out with, the one thing, what's the one thing that you would suggest somebody pull from today's podcast? What's the nugget that they can implement and start doing from today's episode?
The nugget. You know what? Okay, if I may, you asked me the rules of money, and you know what I didn't say, and I need to say, taxes. Taxes need to be factored in. Again, I have no idea how many I listed off, but let's just assume I listed off 4 or 5 rules. Then this is 5 or 6. The number one, if you give me a room of 100 people and I say, what's the number one expense in your life? 80% of the hands will go up. If not 95% of the hands will go up for mortgages and housing. The reality is the number one expense in your life, my life, and everybody we know's life is taxes. And yes, there are anomalies. We don't play with anomalies. We play with percentages. So that's absolutely the case. So understanding taxes, but understanding that taxes is the number one expense in your life is not going to solve the problem. But I can tell you by not knowing that it is a problem is certainly not going to solve it and make it a whole lot worse. Like the average family in North America, they earn $1. Okay. They keep, when they pay taxes, interest, and fees, they are left with 17 cents. Okay. 17 cents. And they wonder why they can't get ahead and why, they need to, pay off the BMW as opposed to be able to pay for the BMW. That should tell you all you need to know. I feel like taxes, and maybe actually taxes, fees, and interest should be the next rule. And again, knowing it is not going to solve it, but I know this: not knowing it is going to make it a significantly bigger problem than it currently is. Remember, if you buy stuff, you end up with stuff. Be very, very careful. When you go buy $100,000, you make $100,000 a year, and then you buy $100,000 BMW. The level of stupidity that is literally scary. Because remember, it's not about the $100,000 for the BMW, although that's crazy, but it's the interest that you pay on it. It's when you got to get an oil change, when you got to replace a part, when you get a door ding, when you got to replace a tire. The front tires are different from the back tires, etc. Like there's just so many. It's just so much more expensive to operate the expensive BMW versus it is the fancy Hyundai or the Toyota. It's just absolutely scary. Not to mention when you go to sell it in 5 years' time, the money, the depreciation on it significantly greater than it is on the Toyota. And by the way, I want to be very clear here. I've owned some nice cars in my day, and I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't buy some nice cars. But I can tell you that if you buy a BMW that is 5 years old versus brand new, I just think, I'm telling you, the week after you buy it, all of that magic tends to have gone away. And that might not be the case for you. Again, I got to make sure this is not black and white advice. But anyway, so I just want, talking about the rules of money shoots. I've got to say that but I want to give you my one thing. I want to come. So I think it's this. It's product, sales, marketing. Remember what Naval says. You're stuck selling because you suck at marketing, and then you're stuck marketing and spending money on marketing because you suck at product. Translation: become amazing at product, become amazing at service, become amazing at what you do, become the best. Don't become you want to become the best. You also want to become the only, by the way. You don't want to just be the best. You want to be the only. You got to separate yourself. But that said, you want to get amazing at what you do. And you're an amazing business coach and you have an operating system that you can install. Remember, the inside of my software is ultimately an operating system that can be installed in any small business. Right. And it's very, very Jumpstart 12. There's 12 specific areas, small incremental changes in multiple areas simultaneously. You get a compounding effect because of compounding marginal utility theory. We refer to that as profit acceleration. And at the end of the day, that's the needle mover on steroids. But that said, so I built what I think is a really, really cool product. And guess what? We got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of business coaches and consultants and accountants and business brokers and finance professionals and mathematicians and we got a big community of folks, right? Well, how did we do that? We did that by taking business coaching before anybody else did it and turned it into software. And guess what? The word of mouth and the referrals and the new clients, etc., flowed and flowed and flowed. But I don't want to make this about me. I want to make this about you. Product, sales, and marketing. You don't want to get stuck in sales and you don't want to get stuck in marketing. You want to get stuck into your product. Make the product amazing. What do you want to do with your client? You want to help them not get stuck in sales, not get stuck in marketing. You want to help them dial in on product and on their service and make it absolutely undeniably amazing. And then tell everybody repeatedly with consistency and discipline. So that's product, sales, and marketing. I think that's some of the best advice shoots that we could give. There you go. That's my answer. How'd I do?
All right, everybody. I hope you found tons of value in that. And thanks for tuning into another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. If you're not on the inside and getting access to pre-show, you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, or just want more information on how to build, grow, and scale your coaching company, visit focused.com and subscribe today. Also, if you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe and also share with a fellow coach, as, hey, we're trying to make our impact on as many coaches in the coaching community as a whole. And while you're at it, please feel free to leave us a review. And that is it for another week. We will see you in the next episode. And remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.